on the Mongolian Empire under the leadership of the great Genghis Khan. My name is Carter, and in this slideshow, we will explore the rise, expansion, governance, military tactics, and legacy of one of history's most formidable emperors. Genghis Khan's backstory. Genghis Khan was born to the name of Timurin and the Mongolian steppes in 1162 AD. There is not much known about his early life, but what is known is that he had three siblings and two half siblings. His early life was rough and molded him into the warrior history has portrayed him as. He managed to unite the Mongolian tribes under his leadership through diplomacy and military prowess. And this is a real bummer. We not knowing the full history of his backstory, it doesn't paint the full picture. We know a bit about his teens, but that's really about it. But early life, nothing too much. The unification of Mongolia. So tribal conflicts and instability marked Genghis Khan's early years. He managed to unite the tribes that made up Mongolia through alliances, marriages, and military conquest. The tribes finally united in the year 1200. Turmanj assumed the role of the Khan in 1206 AD. And so he is 38 if my math is correct when he finally becomes Khan. And this is where the true legend of Genghis Khan starts. Uniting tribes back then was difficult because everyone was fighting, but like in most European history, marriages were able to help unite them and cease fires. Military tactics. Now this is where Genghis Khan truly thrived. The Mongolian military was highly organized and disciplined. The key tactics included the effective use of cavalry, mobility, surprise attacks, and psychological warfare. This was revolutionary for the time and truly reconceived the meaning of warfare. One of the most renowned parts of the Mongol Empire was the horse archers. They had the speed and the ability to strike swiftly and effectively. They can move and reform very fast. This, along with the accuracy, created a formidable force that the world was not prepared for. And also on the screen here, we have their foreign retreat tactics, and this is such a smart idea, which was adopted by most people back in these days, which was the Mongolians sent out a force to meet the army. Then they'd retreat as the enemy approached, and this would draw them into an area that the Mongolians wanted to fight in, an area that they had specified. And at the specific location, the force turned on the pursuing enemy, attacking their front, and hidden from this oncoming army, a hidden force would flank the enemy from behind and encircle them. This was massive for the time, and it was truly insane. Also, their siege warfare. The Mongolians also used very innovative and effective siege tactics. This included strategies such as encirclement, diverse attacks, and psychological warfare. One of the main tactics was to encircle a city, let it starve out until it was weak enough to destroy. And this was a main part of the psychological warfare. Not allowing food into the city meant that the people would be starving, mainly the lower class. And the lower class would, 9 times out of 10, they'd form an uprising against the rulers, and they just give in to the Khan. And this was to save themselves, save lots of the villagers, and Genghis Khan would be able to take over tons of space very quickly without much bloodshed. They also used siege towers when going up against a walled city, which was against water. And this was so that they could just quick run up the walls and quick hop in. And now Genghis Khan embarked on a relentless campaign of conquest. He expanded the Mongolian Empire to unprecedented proportions. His conquest extended from China to Eastern Europe, creating the longest continuous land empire in history. This is truly the greatest expansion under a single ruler in history, going from an area of tribes to the largest land empire the world has ever seen. And now, unfortunately, that wasn't all Genghis Khan. As we can see here, This was the Mongolian Empire in 1227 CE, or also known as 1227 AD, and this is what Genghis Khan had left, as Genghis Khan did die in 1227 AD. As you can see, this is insane. Lots of Russia, present day Mongolia, most of China. It's truly insane. And then, but this is what Genghis Khan did. The legends like to tell us that this was his empire, but this was done through through his grandsons and sons mainly. So that's just a common misconception. But they would never have happened without Genghis Khan's influence. His reputation as a fierce warrior does not do him justice to his work as a governor. He implemented administrative reforms, established a codified legal system, and promoted religious tolerance within his empire. And this is something that I have to give lots of props to Genghis Khan for. Religious tolerance back in the 1200s, 1200s, was not common. People wanted to believe one thing and thought everyone else was wrong. Genghis Khan didn't really care. He was like, well, what he really thought was, as long as you say that I'm your ruler, you fight with me, I really couldn't care less about what you believe in. And I believe this was just amazing for its time to have that type of tolerance. And also a codified legal system was not really seen much back then. With most of the monarchies back then, it was whatever the king decided to do, and it was up to their discretion. Where here, they had a system. You do this wrong, this is your punishment. And I believe it really helped him stay in power. Genghis Khan's legacy extends far beyond his military conquest. The empire facilitated cultural exchange, trade, and spread the ideas across Eurasia. The Pax Mongolica was a period of relative peace and stability that fosters economic growth and innovation. Genghis Khan does not get enough appreciation for how smart he was. Everyone thinks, or well, most of the people who I've talked to think he was I wouldn't say a bonehead, but a guy who was just in it for war. But in reality, he understood that without an economy, Mongolia would fall. And he fostered that. He realized through trade, he could get ideas. He could get some, like if there was a great worker in Baghdad, Iraq, he would be able to get the ideas all the way to China within a couple days, maybe a bit longer, maybe a few weeks. And it was really an area for some of the greatest minds of the time to share ideas, to come up with innovations in the Mongol Empire. After Genghis Khan died in 1227, his empire was divided among his sons and grandsons. Despite internal conflicts and challenges, the Mongolian Empire continued to exert influence for several generations. And this was massive. Most of the time you hear about, what history has told us is that when you try to divide something amongst your sons, there's lots of infighting, lots of assassination attempts. And that really wasn't the case with the Mongol Empire. They still mainly functioned as one. And this was great. This was amazing for the time. The Mongolian Empire under Genghis Khan represents a remarkable chapter in the history books. His visionary leadership, military genius, and legacy continues to inspire and scholarly inquiries to this day. And this here is probably my favorite image of the Mongolian Empire. This is what they controlled compared to what modern day has. And it's just insane. It's just an insane amount of space, and it's truly crazy that all this happened. This happened closer to us than we are to the Roman Empire. and it's not talked about nearly as much. Thank you for joining me as we explored the Mongolian Empire under Genghis Khan.